Hello, dear students. The problem is I have two separate metallic spheres. One of radius r, the other one is a radius of 2r. Both the spheres have same charge density. Both are placed far apart. Now, the two charged spheres are connected with the help of a conducting wire. After connecting the wires, the question is, what will be the new surface charge density of the bigger sphere, which is of radius 2r. Let me draw the diagram. I said I have a sphere which has a radius r, and let us say the surface charge density is sigma. One more sphere I have. This time the radius of this sphere is 2 times the radius of the smaller sphere, and this also has the same charge density sigma. Now, when the surface charge density of the two metallic spheres, both are conductors, two metallic spheres is same, then we shall assume that charge here it is q1 and charge here it is q2. This is assumed. In that case, I know that the surface charge density sigma is equal to, for the first sphere, is total charge divided by the total surface area of the sphere, which is equal to 4 pi r square. Else I can say that the charge on the first sphere is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square. Second aspect, when I look here, the surface charge density is same as that of this one. So therefore, sigma is equal to surface charge density of the bigger sphere. So the charge on the bigger sphere divided by surface area of this sphere. So 4 pi, the radius is 2r, so 2r the whole square. As such, q2 will be equal to 2 square is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, so 16 pi r square into sigma. So sigma into 16 pi r square. This is the charge on the second sphere. Now, our question is, we are going to connect these two conductors by a thin wire. Now, when I connect these two conductors with the help of a wire, I know that charges will flow from one conductor to the other conductor. In other words, we can say charges will flow from a conductor of higher potential to lower potential. Then, because of the flow of the charges from one conductor to the other conductor, the surface charge density is going to change. So our question is, let us suppose that sigma 2 is the surface charge density of the bigger sphere once the two conductors are connected with the help of a wire. So we have to calculate what is the surface charge density. Now, how to calculate? See, once the two spheres having same surface charge density, if connected, charges will flow. The flow of charge will stop when the potentials of the two conductors become equal. So in that case, if I say this conductor has a potential of V1 and this has a potential of V2, then see at equilibrium, what happens? The potential V1 becomes equal to V2. So what is V1 then? V1 is equal to, once the two conductors are connected, then sharing of charges takes place. So after sharing of charges, the charge will not remain Q1 anymore, but this time let me say it has become Q1 dash, and here the charge is not going to remain Q2. Instead, let us assume that the charge is now Q2 dash. In that case, the potential V1 on this conductor of radius r will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon times the charge q1 dash divided by the radius. This will be equal to r. And what about V2? V2 will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into the charge after sharing is q2 dash. So q2 dash by its radius to r. So this is the potential on the first metallic sphere and second metallic sphere once they are connected with the help of wires. Now if we look at the two conductors and apply conservation of charge, then we agree that before sharing the total charges were q1 and q2, and after sharing of charges the charges are, or the total charge is q1 dash and q2 dash. So the sum of these two charges must be equal. That is, by applying conservation of charge, say principle, we have total charge after sharing q1 dash plus q2 dash. This is equal to q1 plus q2, because charges can neither be created nor be destroyed. However, what is the charge q1? This is sigma 4 pi r square, and here it is sigma 16 pi r square q2. So as such, I can rewrite q1 dash plus q2 dash. This is equal to q1 is sigma into 4 pi r square plus sigma into 16 pi r square. Otherwise, q1 dash plus q2 dash is equal to 4 plus 16 is 20. So I can say 20 sigma into pi r square. Now from here, see please, V1 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 dash by r is equal to V2. So I can equate the two. So now by equating V1 and V2, I have 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q1 dash by r is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q2 dash by 2 times r. Otherwise, q1 dash is equal to q2 dash by 2, q2 dash by 2. Now let me suppose that this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. What I am trying to find? I am trying to calculate what is the surface charge density on the biggest or bigger spherical conductor. For that purpose, to calculate sigma, I require what is q2 dash. So q2 dash divided by the total surface area is constant. So that's what I am trying to calculate q2 dash. So to calculate q2 dash, I am going to substitute the value of q dash, or rather I must say q1 dash. I am going to substitute q1 dash by this, and therefore I have q2 dash by 2 plus q2 dash is equal to, that is substituting 2 in 1, is equal to 20 times sigma pi r square. Else, see, half plus 1, so 1 and a half. So I say that this is 3 by 2 q2 dash is equal to 20 times sigma pi r square. Hopefully I am right. 4 pi r square, 16 pi r square, 20 pi r square into sigma, right. In that case, I am trying to calculate sigma 2. I rewrite this expression, q2 dash is equal to 2 times 20 is 40 by 3 into sigma into 4 pi r square. If I rewrite this one, q2 dash is equal to q2 dash sigma into pi r square. So I write 10 by 3 sigma pi 2 times r the whole square. If I write like this, otherwise I shall rewrite this one as q2 dash is equal to 10 by 3 sigma 4 pi 2r times square by 4 if I write, multiplying and dividing by 4. So this becomes surface area. I shall rewrite q2 dash by 4 pi 2r times whole square. So this is the charge q2 dash on the second metallic sphere after sharing, divided by total surface area of the sphere. So this becomes equal to sigma 2 for me. This is sigma 2. This is equal to. So what I am left with? I am left with 2 2s are 4, 2 5s are 10. So this comes out to be 5 sigma by 6. So it is 5 sigma by 6. Rather say sigma 2 we found, this is equal to 5 sigma by 6. So this is the answer. After connecting the two conductors with the help of a thin wire, sharing of charges takes place until the potentials of the two spherical conductors become equal, and once the potentials becomes equal, V1 becomes equal to V2, at that instance the new surface charge density of the metallic sphere of radius 2r becomes 5 by 6 times the sigma. Let us move on to the other problem. The problem is, I have two charges, one minus q, the other one plus q. Both have equal masses. The two charges are revolving around a circle of radius r. The electrostatic force behaves like a centripetal force. Let me put the problem in a diagram. I said let me say that this is center O, this is radius r, and let me suppose that here I have one minus charge, minus q, and here there is a plus charge, this charge is q, and this has a mass m, this charge also has mass m, and from center O this distance is r. This positive charge will attract this negative charge this way with a force of F, and this negative charge is going to attract this positive charge towards the center with a force of F. And I say the two charges are revolving about O along this circle. If that is the case, then let me say that this is the tangent and here this is the direction tangent. Now because the masses of the two charges are same, the speed of the charges are also same when they revolve about in the circle. Any object to undergo circular motion requires centripetal force. In that case, the centripetal force is the Coulomb force, which helps the two charges to revolve around this circle. Since masses are equal, the angular velocity is also same. In that case, I say, what is my question? My question is, I have to calculate what is the speed of the charges. Calculate the speed of the charges. As I said, masses of the two charges are equal, the speed of the two charges will be equal. So I need to calculate this. Second question is, I want to calculate what is the total kinetic energy. Total kinetic energy of the system of two charges. Third question is, I want to calculate what is the total potential energy of the system of two charges. So total kinetic energy, potential energy of the system of two charges. And the fourth question is, I want to calculate the total energy of this system. Total energy of the system of two charges system. Let us try to solve the first problem to calculate what is the speed. So to calculate the speed, I know that the centripetal force is given as mass into square of its velocity divided by radius. So mv square by r. This centripetal force is provided by the Coulomb force, I said. So this is the Coulomb force. Now to calculate the Coulomb force between these 2 point charges, I can rewrite this one as mv square by capital R is equal to the Coulomb force between the two. So the two charges are separated by a distance of r plus r, 2r. So in that case, I know that this is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into the product of two charges, q into q, divided by square of the distance between the two charges. So this becomes r plus r the whole square. As such, I can rewrite this as mv square by r is equal to q square by r plus r is 2r. 2r square is 4r square. So 4 into 4 is 16. So 16 pi epsilon naught into r square. In that case, 1r goes off and I am left with v square is equal to q square by 16 pi epsilon naught into r into m. So I write m into r, or the speed with which the charged particles revolve around is given as under root of q square by 16 pi epsilon naught into m into r. So this is the answer for the first question. V is equal to root under q square by 16 pi epsilon naught into m into r. Let us talk about the second. I want to calculate the total kinetic energy. So kinetic energy expression I know, there is half mv square. So if mass is m, speed is v, then kinetic energy of this particle will be half mv square. Similarly, v is the velocity, m is the mass, so here also half mv square. So total energy of the system will be sum of the two. So 2 times half mv square. So I say total kinetic energy will be equal to 2 times half mv square. Otherwise this is given as mv square. Otherwise kinetic energy is equal to m into v square already I have calculated. So I replace this one, q square by 16 pi epsilon naught m into r, m and m goes off. Otherwise the total kinetic energy works out to be q square by 16 pi epsilon naught into r. So this is the kinetic energy. This is the answer for the second question. The third one is to calculate what is the total potential energy of the system. So to calculate total potential energy of the system, let me say total potential energy U. U is equal to, we have already studied potential energy. Let me say that this is the charge Q. This charge Q will have at this point, the point at which minus Q charge is placed, at this point this charge will have its potential. So the potential at this point V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into this charge Q divided by distance of this point from this charge is 2r. So this is the potential at this point. So this potential into this charge with the sign will give me the potential energy of the system. So I say here I have Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into 2r is the distance into this charge with the sign, so therefore minus Q. Otherwise U is equal to minus Q square by 8 pi epsilon naught, 4 into 2 8 pi epsilon naught into R. So this says the total potential energy of the system of the two charges. So then final question is, we have to calculate what is the total energy of the system. So therefore the fourth question, when I try to calculate the total energy of the system, I have to find the sum of kinetic energy and potential energy. So total energy of the system is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy, and this comes out to be E is equal to K is Q square by 16 pi epsilon naught into R plus, this is minus, so plus into minus is minus, Q square by 8 pi epsilon naught into R. If you compare the two, you find that the second term is twice the first term, so this is bigger, so therefore the total energy is equal to minus Q square by 16 times pi epsilon naught into R. So this is the final answer of the expression. Let us move on to the next problem. The next problem is, I have two rings of equal radius. One ring is charged with plus Q, the second ring is charged with minus Q. The two rings are separated by a distance of d in such a way that the two rings have common axis. The question is, what will be the potential difference between the centers of the two charged rings? Let me draw the diagram. I said I have a ring, let me say this is ring 1. This is ring 1. Let me say this is center and this has a radius R. This ring is provided with a charge of plus Q, and let me say this is the axis. I have a second ring here. The second ring also has a radius R. This is supplied with a charge minus Q. The two rings have common axis. The two rings are separated by a distance of d. Our question is, at this point there will be an electric potential, and at this point there will be an electric potential. So let me say this is ring 1, this is ring 2, this is ring 2, and I say at this point there is a potential V1 and at this point the potential is V2. I want to find what is the potential difference between these two centers. In that case, I see that at this point two potentials are acting. One potential due to the charge Q of this ring 1, and at this point potential due to this charge minus Q on this ring. So let me calculate what is first V1. So to calculate first V1, so V1 becomes equal to, what will be the potential at this point? Say point A, this is point B. So at point A, the potential due to plus Q charge will be equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into the charge Q divided by radius of the ring. At this point A, one more potential is acting here. So that potential will be negative because of negative charge, and that potential will be equal to minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into the charge, that is minus Q divided by divided by the distance. The distance, when I say I take this distance, so I will have this distance r is equal to root under r square plus d square. So this time let me say this is small r, this is small r. Similarly, if I rewrite this expression, I will get, taking commons, q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by capital R minus 1 by small r. Similarly, what about V2? V2 when I talk about, so V2 is equal to, at this point two potentials are acting, one due to this negative charge, another one due to this positive charge. So this distance, I say now, this is also equal to small r because these two rings are of equal radius. So therefore the potential at this point B due to this ring is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q divided by small r because of this positive charge, and potential at this point due to this negative charge happens to be minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q divided by capital R. Otherwise, I have q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by r minus 1 by capital R. Now, if I see capital R and small r, capital R is small, this is bigger. So therefore, this is smaller, this is bigger, so this becomes positive and this becomes negative. Or let me say I want to find the difference of the two. So therefore, I write V1 minus V2, this is equal to, I will have q by 4 pi epsilon naught common from both, and I will have here 1 by capital R minus 1 by small r from the first expression, V2 this one, so minus 1 by r minus 1 by capital R. When I work out this expression, I am going to get V1 minus V2 is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by r minus 1 by small r minus 1 by small r minus minus plus 1 by capital R, and this works out to be the potential difference between the centers of the two charged rings. V1 minus V2 will be q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 2 by capital R minus 2 by small r. Otherwise, V1 minus V2 is equal to 2. When I take out, I am left with q by 2 pi epsilon naught into 1 by capital R minus 1 by small r. Small r for me, this is root over r square plus d square. So this is the final expression to calculate the potential difference between the centers of the two charged rings. Let's move on to another problem. The problem is like this. I have a set of equipotential surfaces, say like this. These are equipotential surfaces. Say this is 20 volt, this is 30 volt, this is 40 volt, and say this is 50 volt. These are the distance between the equipotential surfaces along x-axis. So say this is in centimeter. So this point is 10 centimeter, this is 20 centimeter, this is 30 centimeter, this is 40 centimeter. So these are the set of equipotential surfaces. With respect to x-axis, this makes theta is equal to 30 degree, and the orientation of all equipotential surfaces is same, all are theta. Now the question is, when the set of equipotential surfaces are given, we have to calculate the magnitude of electric field and the direction of the electric field. We have already studied that the direction of electric field is always perpendicular to the equipotential surfaces, number one. Number two, the direction of electric field is always along the direction of decreasing potential. So in that case, see please, first let me draw a perpendicular line with respect to this equipotential surface. So therefore, I say this is a line that I have drawn, a perpendicular line. With respect to this axis, this is perpendicular line. And with respect to this surface, let me say this is the perpendicular line. And with respect to the other one this is the perpendicular line. These are the perpendicular lines. Now, we studied that the electric field is always perpendicular to the equipotential surface. So if this is the perpendicular line, then the direction of electric field can be like this, otherwise it can be like this. Here the direction of electric field can be this way or this way. So in order to determine which way is correct, what I am going to do, I inspect the equipotential surface and I see the direction of decreasing potential. So therefore 50, 40, 30, 20. So this way the potential is decreasing. So this is not the correct direction of electric field. The correct direction of the electric field is this direction of electric field along the direction of decreasing potential. First, when I say direction of decreasing potential is this way, then this is theta. This electric field is 90 degree. So therefore, the direction happens to be with respect to x-axis, the electric field is inclined at an angle of 120 degree. 90 plus 30 is 120. So the half part of the question is solved. So therefore, the direction of electric field is 120 degree with respect to positive direction of x-axis. This is the direction. Next, I need to calculate what is the magnitude. To calculate the magnitude, we must keep in mind that we have already studied the expression. See, dV is equal to minus of E dot dr. E dot dr. Or else I can write dV is equal to minus E dr cos theta. Whereas theta is the angle between E and dr is the displacement. So let me say that I am trying to move from this point to this point. So when I move along this direction, so this is dr for me, and this is the direction of electric field for me. This is the direction of electric field. So theta is the angle between E and dr. So dr, I am moving along this direction, and E is this, so angle is 90 plus 30, 120 degree. So as such, I write dV. dV is the potential difference. When I move from this point to this point, so this is initial point, this is final point. So therefore, if this is initial point, this point lies along the equipotential surface 20 volt, and this point lies along 30. So therefore 30 minus 20 is the potential difference. So 30 minus 20 is my dV, which is equal to minus of. I have to calculate what is the magnitude of electric field. I am going to keep E as such. When I talk about dr, I move from this point to this point. This is the displacement. So final is 20 centimeter. Initial is from 10 centimeter. So 20 minus 10 centimeter. Centimeter can be written or converted into meter. So therefore, I have dr is 20 minus 10 into, converting into meter, 10 power minus 2 meter, cos theta. So cosine of theta is the angle between E and dr. So E and dr, 90 plus 30 is 120 degree. Or else I write 30 minus 20 is 10, which is equal to minus E into 20 minus 10 is 10 into 10 power minus 2, cos 120 is minus 1 by 2. this minus and this minus goes off, this 10 and this 10 worked out, so here it is 1. If I bring here 2, so therefore I can write E is equal to 2. If I bring 10 power minus 2 here at the denominator, when I take it to the numerator, it will be 200. So therefore this becomes 200. So E is equal to 200 volt per meter. So this is the value of the electric field. This is the value of the electric field. As such, you can see that the electric fields are represented by parallel lines, therefore uniform electric field, so 200 volt per meter. So this is the magnitude of the electric field, and this is the direction we have solved the problem. So students, thank you very much.